All right, continuing that trend of uploading games from Duels of Runeterra 10, we are now on round 9, which is going to be Sudrakon versus Shouix, and I do apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. If somebody knows the correct way to pronounce it or knows I'm doing it right, let me know in the comments below. It's always a challenge during these tournaments figuring out how to pronounce people's names. I'm not going to lie. So, anyways, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works, and today we are doing round 9 of Duels of Runeterra 10. As always, if you want to find any information on the tournament, go ahead, look in the description below. We have a link to the Discord, which will have all the information you need if you want to join the tournament, as well as a link to Sudrakon's Twitch. I casted this round again with Boulevard, so all of his information will be below as well. So now that I got all that out of the way, let's get into the gameplay. God, I hate autocorrect. Does anybody else hate autocorrect as much as I do?
I don't know what the duck you're talking about.
The most common autocorrect ever known in the history of man.
There are sometimes I'll type a real word and it'll like recommend to me some like major typo that I made a while ago, and I'm like, you're just mocking me at this point.
We'll squeeze one more theoretical discussion in here. What are your thoughts on the Shen buff?
It actually doesn't look like they're getting into it. I don't know if you saw the Discord.
What happened on Discord?
It looks like Mago just scooped it up since I think they're both guaranteed for top cut anyway. But yeah, overall I was pretty unimpressed by the Shen buff, and the reason is just because Shen lends to a style of Demacia that isn't relevant anymore. Since Unyielding Spirit is so popular in these decks, we're kind of seeing a lot of them throw the other protective spells to the wayside, and that's kind of what Shen was just this extra protector for the Demacia decks, and it looks like Sudrakon's actually already in game.
Oh yeah, I just pulled it up. Looks like we're on turn 3, so we just caught him. We should be good.
Ooh, and we're getting started off with Draven Ezreal.
Yeah, and this is something that we've seen a lot more of all of a sudden. Not Draven necessarily, but just Noxus Ezreal in general. We've seen a couple iterations of it today and yesterday.
Let me just pull up these deck lists because I feel like I had watched Sudrakon a little bit yesterday and I don't remember seeing this deck in the lineup. It's possible that I just never got around to it, but... So we've got the Pilfer MF Sedge in the lineup, this one with the Wolf Riders. We've got the Ezreal Draven, which means the last one's Karma Lux. Lucian Zed, right.
Pull up Shouix. We're currently going with the pronunciation of Shouix. If anybody knows the actual pronunciation, please feel free to educate me.
Yeah, you do not want to hear me say that X.
Shouix.
It looks like Shouix also has the MF Pilfer, this one going for Ruthless Leader, and Omen Hawk not going any copies of the Wolf Rider. A Callista Thresh. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, the Tiana Crown Guard coming out of that one.
Yep.
And Spectral Matron putting the Tiana Crown Guard into play. That's an adaptation we've seen out of those decks in the past. So an interesting lineup out of Shouix.
And as Karma is the last deck he's got.
All right, well, that's not as interesting.
It's not nearly as interesting, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do in competitive play.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, God, in competitive, I was always the player that's like, no, you have to play the best deck. Why would you play anything else? And now that, like, I'm, full in on commentary, I'm like, all right, this is a boring deck. Can y'all get a little creative here?
Yeah, can we just stop with the Ez Karma all of a sudden? Like, come on.
But yeah, into this match at hand, it looks like this Draven is going to get traded onto for Sudrakon. Not going to be able to do anything about that. And Hired Gun, there's a lot of units that feel like they want to just chill in the backline for a long time. Things like Karma and Hired Gun has really kind of been able to take those out of the meta. I think one of the big strengths of Sea Monsters is that you can go ahead and make Nautilus vulnerable, and that just doesn't matter. You are not taking that thing out with combat.
Now, I've mentioned a few times, Draven seems a little bit worse nowadays with how much 4 health units are in here, including Badger Bear and stuff that are in the meta now. But we can see, I mean, as usual, Draven usually just generates 2 axes, and then he's also trading with something. And when you have stuff like Rummage, which I think, we were talking earlier, I think most of the Karma, or just Ezreal decks in general right now, are cutting Rummage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe this Rummage, and I know Noxus P&Z was always touted as one of the faster versions of Ezreal. Maybe this is the better version again, but we'll see. I still feel like Draven's a little bit weak, so I'm curious to see how he does here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any Culling Strike in this deck, which I actually like a lot for the meta. It's not very valuable versus either Sea Monsters or the Ashe Noxus deck. It does get a lot of value onto Maokai specifically, but that's a pretty narrow range that you don't want to include in your deck for the most part. And I do like so I still like Draven a lot in decks that main deck Whirling Death. I think I think that when Draven got changed to I have struck twice with axes to I have struck with 2 axes, that was a massive upgrade for him, being able to throw down 1 axe and then Whirling Death and get the first strike off for the upgrade, because upgraded Draven is actually a house.
Upgraded Draven is like very quietly OP, but it's mainly because nobody ever actually levels him. Whirling Death is also a very underplayed card, I think. And I love Whirling Death. I think it's a decent card, but in the metagame right now, it just always seems very just awkward to play.
Yeah, the combat, Whirling Death doesn't line up great into sea monsters because the units are generally so big, and it doesn't line up great into Frostbite Ash because it's a Frostbite deck. So I definitely understand it not coming out as much, and maybe that's why we're not seeing as much of the Draven Yetis as we had seen in the past. Like a pretty cool deck that we had seen for a while just kind of fall to the wayside, and it's very similar to the Ashe Noxus deck. So could see an adaptation like that come later on once these players have had a bit more time to experiment. And one thing that I actually kind of wanted to touch on, and I think the reason that we've seen this week 1 meta be so consistently the same across the board, just a lot of Freljord Noxus and a lot of sea monsters coming out, is because this patch was actually delayed by a day, which is gives players a lot less time to test things out. Generally, we see patches coming out Tuesday morning. This one came out Wednesday afternoon, which really only gives you 2.5 days of testing before you can actually craft a lineup to come into a tournament like this.
Yeah, they did change the way they were doing the patch updates, which was disappointing, but also I understand why they did it. They wanted to push everything at the same time. It looks like they wanted to do it all at the same time for all the servers, I guess, was kind of the reasoning behind that. So, but we have another Draven coming out. So no rummage in hand yet, but we do have 2 Progress Day, and God, 3 Progress Day and 3 rummage. Like this just reminds me how freaking fast this deck can really be. If he gets a Progress Day down this turn, which is going to be hard considering the field that Shouix has. He is. Looks like he's opting to go ahead and trade off this Sejuani too. But if he is able to get a Progress Day down, it's a good chance he gets to Ezreal on his next turn.
Yeah, and I like this Mystic Shot here. It does set him up for the Ravenous Flock, and then even if something like Fury of the North comes out, we could see the Draven throw a Spinning Axe away just to get the trade onto it, and that'll free up quite a bit of hand space for this Progress Day. Warning Shot going to be followed by Jagged Butcher. Okay, that's not nearly as impactful as I thought it was going to be. And Shouix actually pretty low on cards, and now we're going to see the Ravenous Flock onto the Sejuani. He does have Fury of the North mana, but if that comes to trade onto the Draven and gets axed, that's going to be really bad. But hold on. Actually, I think if Fury comes out, we might have lethal on our hands here, because the Unscarred Maiden can pull the Draven to the side.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that... I think he lucked out there. Would that have been... Oh, wait, what? Wait, is that lethal? I'm confused. Was that lethal?
I don't know. I don't...
What was the... so Sejuani's at 4 attack, right? Or
yeah,
5.
5, so she'd go up to 9. So
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Would have been lethal.
That was lethal.
I think the Get Excited onto the Jagged Butcher does save him.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think because with 6 mana still open on the side of Sudrakon, that's probably Shouix's thought process. There's no way that he can actually go for lethal there with 6 mana.
Yeah, and he's actually still got a pretty good shot at it now, since this this Unscarred Maiden does, take the Draven on, gets damage, gets the attack buff. She's sitting at 7. That's 12 damage coming through at Shouix, and I actually have to check the name of this card. It's so annoying when random 1-costs get created, because they're the cards that I know the least about because they're never in anyone's decks, and I can't even look them up on the deck list because they're not there. So the name of this card is Unscarred something.
Unscarred Maiden or Reaver? Reaver.
Unscarred Reaver.
It's he just hovered over it too, and I was like, "This is my chance." Oh wait, it's in Portuguese. Never mind. We tried. So he is able to get another target with the Get Excited. I think he's kind of forced into play. I mean, well, yeah, he is forced. He has to play a Progress Day now, and it's looking grim.
What was discarded off that Get Excited? Because he still has an axe and both mushrooms in hand. Didn't he have another real card?
Yeah, I'm curious. I wasn't paying attention.
I was looking up Unscarred Reaver's name.
Yeah. Okay, so he's actually... Alright, so he's going for more targets instead of the Progress Day. This will actually give him 3 spell mana for the next turn, so... This, I think, is a really good play by Sudrakon. It puts him in a pretty good spot. Shouix... I'm trying to see what Shouix would have in here that's really going to threaten lethal again. He's gonna be on 8 mana. Or sorry,
So
9 plus 3. He could do a Riptide Rex, which would be huge.
yeah, I actually like this stun spider coming out onto the Unscarred Reaver, even though it doesn't represent lethal, and you'd think, oh, he has to play another unit, and then you want to go for this stun on the unit after he plays something to go for lethal. If Shouix open attacked with the Unscarred Reaver, Sudrakon would have to block, or he just dies to Fury of the North, and he didn't have any answers for that in hand at the time.
Yeah, very heads up play by Sudrakon, and he does finally get the progress day off, and he's starting to find some more options in his hand. He could technically kill the Sejuani. The problem with the Sejuani is that having Overwhelm is just really threatening right now, so it feels super bad. His Ezreal is also going to get challenged, or do we call it challenged if they're...
I still call it challenged when they're vulnerable because it's still the same symbol as challenge. It's
Yeah.
just purple instead. So
Like you can't go, they're getting vulnerable. That just seems awkward.
I definitely don't want to say something like they're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, I don't think that's generally accepted.
Yeah, that's not the kind of language I want to be putting out in my casts.
So the Mystic Shot is huge. This will enable a Noxian Guillotine, so good pickup by Sudrakon.
Yeah, and that was actually the perfect answer for the discounted Guillotine. Nothing else would have been able to take care of this Sejuani. And if there is a Fury of the North coming out, then that you do still have to be cognizant of that. So this Unscarred Reaver not having Overwhelm does mean that this Noxian Guillotine will get to kill this regardless of what comes out onto it. That's one of the things I like a lot about Noxian Guillotine is it plays around buff spells pretty well. So one card that I did kind of want to talk about is this House Spider. This is a card that we see come out in these like mid-rangey to control-y type of Noxus decks. Typically, it's in Draven Ezreal and things like Twisted Fate Swain. And it's a card that the more I play with it, the less impactful it feels. Do you have any opinions on this card?
Ooh, House Spider. Oh, I got opinions. But it's that I literally the only thing this card is really used for in my mind is just adding chump blockers. And that's it. It's just to stall out. The problem is there's so much Overwhelm now in the current meta. I don't know how much I like it. I mean, even now it feels kind of like a really bad card to play against the Sejuani and the Unscarred Reaver, right? We decided on Reaver.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it, but it does get the job done. It is a lower cost unit. I do think in burn and aggro matchups, it's kind of almost needed. Otherwise, this deck kind of auto loses to burn aggro, right? So,
yeah.
That's really the most prevalent matchup.
And we did have the Fury of the North, so yeah, it would have been lethal if Sudrakon had not played that Arachnoid Sentry on the previous turn. So a really heads up play from him, just kind of keeping that one off the table. But now there is a massive scouted Unscarred Reaver to deal with. It is a 9/3, does have, this get excited to line up onto it. Just gonna fire off the progress day. Does have this House Spider to sort of protect his life total on the following turn, but just because it's saving him here doesn't mean I have to love it.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. It's also discounted. He's really he could just develop a lot of units and not play the progress day and then play it next turn going into his next attack turn, which I think is what he's considering. I think he probably has to, if you want my opinion, because of Riptide Rex. I think he has to get units down on the board because Riptide will potentially kill him. Because if he actually progress days there, Riptide is just auto win.
Yeah, something that I just noticed about Shouix's deck list is, so Sejuani Misfortune is a pilfer deck that we've seen a bit of in the past. I think I had talked about how the Koreans are really on this deck. But Shouix actually not playing Black Market Merchant or Pilfered Goods, just going for the Yordle Grifter, I believe, because it makes the warning shot, as we do see warning shots in the main. But yeah, actually not going for that Pilfer package, which, as we see here, plays against him as he's kind of struggling to maintain cards, especially as he misses that Yordle Grifter Allegiance trigger.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and like I said, I've been talking to a lot of people about this, where we're kind of wondering why they're running that Plunder package like that for the card advantage when it seems like it wants to be an aggressive deck. So now Shouix is running the aggressive version, and I will say he's X and 2, right? So he's doing well in this tournament. So maybe this is the right way to play it, but you are right. In this instance against the Ezreal deck, I mean, obviously Ezreal, that's what it does, is it creates cards. So maybe this is just kind of a bad example of matching it up against that. But yeah, he's definitely falling behind right now. If he had that Black Market Merchant in the Plunder package, it would help immensely.
Yeah, and I actually feel like there are a couple of versions of the Ezreal deck that are not so light on removal that like you can pilfer out all of their removal and sort of take them out. But it does help a lot if you can consistently draw the removal package of the Ezreal deck and then get them stuck on units, because there are typically more units in the Noxus versions of this deck than others. So I actually think in this specific matchup, it is heavily playing against Shouix that he doesn't have access to the Black Market Merchant and the Pilfered Goods, as we see him in a terrible situation. Anytime that Sudrakon wants, he can actually just kill this Unscarred Reaver. I'm not sure that I like how long he's taken to do it, since we could see another Fury of the North off the top from Shouix.
Yeah, that would be the third, right? He is playing 3.
Yeah. I didn't catch if any of the ones earlier were Sejuani's Fury of the North. I don't think that's the case, but we do say Sejuani off the top, but we also see the third Arachnoid Sentry going to kind of take that one out, but it is still going to be a free kill onto this jump one for Shouix.
Yeah, that man, he's just a beast at top deck of these Sejuanis right now, and he's pretty much had one on the field at some point all game, but Sudrakon's done a good job of dealing with them. And I think he's thinking right now of what you were just mentioning. Does he finally pull the trigger and get rid of, Unscarred Reaver? Yeah, I'm having the same problem you're having. Like, nobody plays this card. I keep forgetting the name of it. I mean, it's a good argument right now because he does save his Chump Lump.
I think I did like the Progress Day better because your Chump Lump will still die on the actual attack token to something like the the Petty Officer, the Yordle Grifter, and you do actually have some decent blocks lined up onto your opponent's board here because the Petty Officer only has one toughness. You do have this 1/1 Spider. You've got some pretty good trades lined up because of the double sentry, so I do think you need to actually get this Progress Day off, and since we do see Sudrakon jaw the third Progress Day, I think it was definitely the right choice.
Yeah, and he has a ton of removal in hand again now, and that's just big. Not to mention, now he can get excited into a Jury Rig. I think he feels like he's in a pretty damn good situation now.
Yeah, there's not a lot that Shouix's going to be able to draw here. He's holding on to this warning shot. A Riptide Rex off the top is kind of his saving grace, and Sudrakon has to find an Ezreal. And I definitely think that whoever finds their out first is going to be heavily favored here. Sudrakon's hand actually pretty weak. Does need to find this Ezreal. And yeah, just it's kind of just in the luck of the draw now. I do think that Shouix still has the board.
Yeah, this is. Listen. Is there a world where this Daring Poro, which you gotta love how I can remember the freaking Poro's name. Like, I know that it's a Daring Poro, but I can't remember the other one. But anyways, this actually might make a difference if a Riptide Rex is drawn or something similar, because it is going to gradually do 1 damage unless he gets rid of it. He does draw the Mystic Shot. He does have the Get Excited, but it's I don't know, like, at what point do you have to just get rid of the Daring Poro? Like, you can't just let it keep attacking.
Yeah, is this the last Sejuani out of Shouix?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so that's a little unfortunate. I don't think she's close enough to evolution for Warning Shot to actually upgrade her here, but with that Warning Shot fired off, that might be the case. Yeah, it is going to be the case. Sudrakon looks a little disappointed in himself for forgetting that. That's something that a lot of newer players will fall for, is they'll go to remove a champion and then it's like, I actually have the way to upgrade them so that I live with 1 HP, and that's a play that I like to see a lot. And even though Sudrakon has been able to fire off multiple Progress Day, because this Sejuani has already eaten 2 cards. An entire Progress Day has gone into killing this Sejuani.
That is a very big mistake. That's a huge mistake on the part of Sudrakon, and mainly because now that's 4 damage that he could have used on Nexus with that Mystic Shot when he does draw an Ezreal. His opponent being at 17 health, it's going to be substantially harder to actually kill him in 1 turn now.
Yeah, and that also took him off Progress Day for the turn, and now you kind of have to be a little more defensive. Fury of the North, and that's going to be lethal unless Sudrakon can find something off of this Progress Day. If this is the win, he got punished so hard for that. If that Mystic Shot was still available to him, he'd be able to kill the Daring Poro, but Sudrakon just making a very rookie mistake, forgetting about the Sejuani level up, and is going to get as punished for it as possible. As you mentioned, the Daring Poro cannonballing Shouix's way into a victory with this non-pilfer misfortune Sejuani deck.
Wow, that's incredible. He's gonna be so mad at himself right now. Like, he's just letting it happen. He's just making as much of this moment as possible. He knows what he did. And I will say, Mingles in chat said he might have wanted to bait the Warning Shot so Shouix doesn't have Rex out. Now that's a 5-headed play. I'm not gonna lie. That's not a bad idea to get the Warning shot out that turn. So now a top decked Riptide Rex becomes way worse. But we can tell by Sudrakon's reaction that is not what happened. He was very pissed. But I will say, that's honestly a very different way to look at it. And I don't know. So if you look at it that way, not knowing that Sudrakon made the mistake, do you still bait out a warning shot to ensure that the top deck Riptide does not kill you?
So back when Twitch Rivals happened, Fresh Lobster and Twitch kind of sat down and did a deep dive analysis of Twitch's game, or Swim's games over, and they talked a lot about hand ranges and sort of the poker player mentality of like, I put my opponent on this range, so and so, so and so. And the problem that I took with that philosophy was it doesn't consider top decks that often.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you do have to play to what your opponent could top deck. You think, oh, they only have a 6% chance to top deck this because there are 2 copies in the deck. And then you sit down and look at it and it's like, well, there's 2 copies of everything in the deck. So there's a 6% chance for them to draw any specific card. There's actually an equal chance it's going to be that one. I don't think that you can afford to play to a top deck out like that. If the Riptide Rex does come down, I don't think that Mystic Shotting, debating out the warning shot, actually ends up winning you the game, since the Daring Poro would come through on the next turn, trigger the Plunder, and get the Riptide Rex down anyway. So I do think it was just a mistake instead of trying to play around that very specific top deck.
Can I just throw it out there and say that I did actually call that the Daring Poro would be the reason why he won that game? I am just now realizing that. Like I'm gonna bask in the glory of that call right now, because that's definitely an unexpected hot take on that matchup, and that ended up happening.
I thought he was out of Fury of the North at that point, but I guess one of them could have been the Sejuani's Fury of the North, and I just didn't see it close enough because it is in a non-native language for me. And yeah, the top deck Fury of the North, and you were 100% right, the Daring Poro finishing that out, and now we see Sudrakon with the Draven trying to take over the game. That's 9 cards in hand if my glance is right, so Rummage doesn't have to come out here. But what is this? Oh, this is the Tiana Crown Guard Callista deck.
Very excited to see this. It's the only one that we've seen so far in this tournament, and the deck does work, but like you said, it's kind of like a meme deck a little bit. Not sure how awesome it really is in a competitive environment, so I would be pretty psyched to see it win out here, though.
Yeah, so the Spectral Matron Tiana Crown Guard combo is very interesting, but when I tried out the deck myself, one of the problems I had with it is that if your Spectral Matron doesn't specifically hit Tiana Crown Guard, then that is now the strongest thing in your death pool, and it takes you off the Rekindler. So your Callista's not going to be able to get that, and actually we do see Swiftwing Lancers in the deck, so that's going to be the strongest unit before Tiana Crown Guard or Matron comes down, which I actually don't really like. It is going to create you random elites in hand, so it does get a fair amount of value, but I don't think it's as good as Rekindler. I would have even liked to see something like Radiant Guardian instead, since if something has died before it comes out, you do get the lifesteal off of it at the very least. How are you feeling about the Swiftwing Lancer for Callista Revive?
I'm glad you asked me, because I was actually just going to mention that. I think if you look at his deck, the way his curve kind of works, he has a lot of cheaper stuff, and then all of a sudden from 4 to 7, there's nothing really filling that gap. As far as like 5 and 6 drops for followers or units. He does have Thresh, but that's not much. So I think he was probably looking for something else mid-game or mid-range to kind of fill that gap. And so you said Radiant Guardian, right? And I think I think this deck, he just wants to go as aggressive as possible, maybe. And that's maybe why he decided to go with Swiftwing Lancer. I will say it is questionable. Because you are also trying to wait out the game and get to a Spectral Tiana combo with that Callista. So I don't know. It's a toss up, but Swiftwing, I mean, hey, it's just a good card, right? So you can't really argue Swiftwing being in any deck in all reality.
Yeah, and another thing that interests me, so there's only 3 Demacia cards in the deck. The Tiana Crown Guard's sort of the namesake combo card. Swiftwing Lancer's an interesting one. But another one is there's 2 copies of Ranger's Resolve, and this is something that we've even seen the Bannerman deck start to cut a little bit. And it's going to play out very well for him in this Ezreal matchup, as they do tend to line up remove the damage of their removal onto your unit's health exactly, so Ranger's Resolve can help out and save that wide board. We also see Black Spears in the main. Been a while since we've seen that one.
Yeah, feels like a much worse card now, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I do like Ranger's Resolve in this, actually, and I just spurred kind of a thought here. I'm surprised that more of these like multiple unit Shadow Isles decks with like Mistwraiths and stuff like that, where they go wide, I'm surprised more of them aren't running Ranger's Resolve, because when you have that wide of a board, that just means you're getting even more value off of Ranger's Resolve on a potential combat trade. And definitely like the decision here. And again, like you said, going against something like a Noxus Ezreal, they are usually doing exact damage to remove things, and it's pretty good matchup as far as that's concerned with that card.
Yeah, and so far Shouix hasn't been able to hold the board at all. Excuse me. At all, and it's yeah. There's still a lot of removal in Sudrakon's hand. If he can ever take a turn off with Shouix not building up the board even more, he can fire off this progress day. Looks like Shui's going to give him the chance, but since Shouix has the attack token this turn, it's definitely very scary to go for something like that. One thing that I am a little interested in here is that for what feels like a Callista combo deck, we don't see any Blighted Caretaker, which is sort of the one card that auto upgrades Callista. There's another one that just creates 3/1/1s that I've seen people play, but that one not feeling as great. But we're not seeing like the revive package, no Undyings, no Cursed Keepers, even though we're seeing Chronicler of Ruins. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Blighted Caretaker is an incredible card. I mean, the only complaint I've ever had about it is that sometimes it's difficult to get the full value out. The full value out of it because your field is kind of locked because you know you have a 6-unit max. If you have 4 units or sorry 5 units on the board, you then can't get full value out of the Blighted Caretaker. But I don't think that's really that big of a concern when you're really getting, like you said, an instant level up with Callista. That just seems to me too valuable. And here we go with Ranger's Resolve getting some pretty good value here.
Yeah. And one of the things that interests me even more is that, like, generally, the Swiftwing Lancer coming out does mean that the Escaped Abomination is not going to be the biggest unit for your mid-game grabs, which is generally the sort of the concern with it is you're just grabbing a vanilla 4/4, but that's not even the case here. And I feel like, you know, it actually would help out a lot in this Ezreal matchup. Cursed Keeper is a card that Ezreal has a little bit of a difficult time dealing with because things don't line up onto the 4/4s super well. Speaking of lining up on the 4/4s super well, Shouix fired off the Sad Poro when he played this Rekindler for no value. And I don't know if it was a misplay or if his hand is just so bad that he felt like he needed to get down this tempo 7-mana 4/4.
Yeah, I'm trying to. How bad can your hand actually be to be forced to playing a Rekindler? Like, even if he has all spells in his hand, do you really sit there and play a tempo Rekindler? Like, I don't know, man.
I've always kind of felt like against an Ezreal deck, any damage that you get through with units kind of feels like cheating. And Sudrakon does have, while he's only got a couple of 1/1s and 2/2s, that is going to add up over the course of 2 or 3 turns if Shouix does just have full spells in hand. And there are a lot of dead spells you could have. You don't want to Vengeance any of these units. You don't have anything to Mist Call. Black Spear doesn't work when your units haven't died. Glimpse Beyond and Ranger's Resolve not going to do anything.
I think I figured it out, right? I think
All right.
that his hand actually isn't that bad. It might be on the worst side. Obviously, you still don't want to play a Rekindler like that. But I think Tiana might have been the only other follower in his hand. So by playing the Rekindler, now he guarantees that the Spectral Matron hits Tiana. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably why. I still think his hand isn't the greatest, obviously. But, you know, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Spectral Matron isn't random. You get to pick the unit.
Oh, why did I think it was random? Picking out
I have no idea.
An exact copy of it. Never mind. I take it back. So I have not figured it out. God, it's not random. Okay, that just goes to show you how little we see that card right now.
I'm actually pretty. I think that because there is the Tiana Crown Guard in Shouix's hand, if he can pair that together with something like a Mist's Call, I think he might just have a surprise lethal relatively soon.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, getting the Tiana combo out and dead already. I would not be surprised if he has a Callista now. So I wonder if the Sad Poro... Oh, he does have a Thresh. I wonder if the Sad Poro was just a kind of little bit of a psychological warfare there.
I mean, it's possible. It is possible. It's also... we see this Thresh. I think this was off the top. I would be so surprised if Thresh came down after Rekindler and they were both in the hand at the same time. But yeah, I mean, Sudrakon made a pretty big blunder in game 1. It's possible that Shouix getting a little overconfident and doing the same. But we're seeing these Shrooms actually add up into the life total. That's 2 top deck there. And Ezreal going to be able to clean up 9 life pretty easily.
Yeah, he's very low. I mean, 11 life is definitely a danger zone here for Shouix. The Ezreal, what is it, 6 out of 8, I want to say?
That sounds about right. He's got a couple ways to turn it on this turn, as well as a lot of burst speed spells in hand. I'm not even sure I like any attacks here. I think... Yeah, you don't want to play the Ezreal until it's upgraded because there is Vengeance... I mean, actually... So if you play Ezreal and your opponent Vengeances it, you can just play another Ezreal.
Yeah. So, which honestly doesn't feel too bad because now you just burned your opponent out of 7 mana. So you feel pretty safe about playing the other Ezreal, right? There's really nothing else. Well, Black Spear, but he has to activate the Black Spear.
Yeah, he does have Glimpse Beyond, so it is a little, it is still a little risky. And if Shouix plays it properly, which I would assume he would, and Vengeance is the Ezreal on attack, then the second one doesn't get a lot of value anyway. So I definitely don't hate holding it back. You can just wait until it's turned on. I don't think Sudrakon's really in a situation here where he has to be taking proactive plays like that. We can just sit back and, you know, kill this Kalista with probably the gotcha. And just that should upgrade the Ezreal if you've done your math right.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, let's not assume that Shouix is going to play properly here. And I say that because we just saw a daring Poro victory due to a huge misplay on the part of Sudrakon. And I love Sudrakon. He won JamFest last week. Great player. But it just goes to show you that, you know, at any moment, you could make a mistake, even a very simple mistake that seems obvious. You know, obviously we're just watching the game here, but you never know.
Yeah, I feel like they're actually playing in the game, especially in a situation like this
Much
where
different.
you're on the bubble for a tournament. You know, you're 9 hours in, everything's on the line here. If you lose, you're out. That pressure does get to you. It's a lot easier to see the mistakes from our perspective. We're just kind of looking for everything. We're looking at the game at both sides. It's just kind of a different mentality when you're casting versus playing. So it is a little bit easier for us to notice the mistakes of the players. And yeah, it looks like the Ezreal actually not leveled off of the Mystic Shot and the gotcha. Black Spear here going to revive, or Black Spear, Mist Call going to revive the Thresh, and that is going to threaten this out next turn.
Ooh.
Does this upgrade the Ezreal?
What does this missed call get right now?
It gets Thresh, which is going to challenge out the Ezreal.
Wow, okay, so that's actually a very roundabout way of killing the Ezreal that we were not thinking about.
But yeah, you lied to me about this Ezreal. This 3 targets have gone off, and he is still not upgraded.
Oh, wow, I wasn't even close to that. Dude, first the Spectral Matron, now the Ezreal. I give up, man. It's been a long weekend. All right, give me a break here. I don't know why I thought it was random. That's so weird. And Ezreal, not even close to leveling up yet. All right, now we're at 4, right? Can we confirm that's the 4th target?
Is that the 4th? That's like nothing.
Oh, feels bad, man. Oh, hey, you know what? Maybe death by shrooms. Maybe that's what he just goes for here.
I mean, we've seen Shouix draw 2 shrooms over the last couple of turns, so it's definitely not impossible.
Oh, actually, wait, what am I talking about? He has Mystic Shot and Get Excited in hand.
Yeah, I mean, if 2 more shrooms come out, this is just lethal. There's Glimpse or Vile Feast rather is the only healing out of Shouix. So a possibility. It's a little risky to go for the exact lethals, but Sudrakon has a couple of progress days to fire off. Could find a little bit more burn.
The problem is that Mystic, yeah, so the Mystic Shot is an Ezreal still, so that won't be 2 damage after this Ezreal dies, if it does die, so kind of feels bad. I don't think there's any way to save this Ezreal no matter what he does right now.
If he levels it up, he can save it, but I don't know how close it is, as well as, like, I think because your opponent is so low, you do really want to contemplate saving this burn for face.
Yeah, and I don't think that's only going to be 2 more all right, is it at 4? I'm questioning everything that I know now. I have no idea what this Ezreal is at as far as leveling is concerned.
Okay, so I actually think I would have liked to see the Mystic Shot thrown at face there, since you did top deck the second Get Excited off of the progress day, although he does have Static Shock and double Get Excited for the lethal anyway.
Ooh, yeah, I agree with you, actually. I think throwing the Mystic Shot to face, I would have thrown it to face. It would have swung back over to you know, his attack turn. Then you have 6 damage and he's at 5 plus shrooms. So I think that's game. I think that's just like pretty high chance that he's always going to get game by doing that line.
Yeah, and now we see Sudrakon actually fall to 2 with the Tiana Crown Guard coming down. And there is potential lethal for both players on this turn. Shouix could go for something like a Glimpse Beyond into a Mist Call on this Tiana Crown Guard. Sudrakon, of course, has the burn lined up at face, but because it's exact lethal, 1 Vile Feast is all it's going to take to actually, you know, take this one out. It looks like he might be going for the Ezreal upgrade. If this is close, then this is a lot less risky. And I would have to, if it's a 4 out of 8, then this could be a little tough. But I think Sudrakon's got this one.
Yeah, I still go back to that turn. I really think he should have. I think you're right with that progress day into the Get Excited, playing the Mystic Shot. Then he would have had it. But I do think he does still have lethal, especially with the Static Shock and whatnot.
I think I just saw Sudrakon trying to count out damage on his fingers, and I've been doing the same thing here. I'm like 2 + 3.
See, so it's not just us, okay? It's literally everybody that plays this game. It's like, who even does math anymore, all right?
Oh, this is what I was talking about. There's the glimpse beyond to kill this Tiana Crown Guard. If Shouix has a way to gain 1 life and survive the double get excited, then Mist Call could come out and present lethal here. Yeah, and I'm guessing that this Ezreal... Oh.
All right. So
Yeah,
it does look like he has lethal.
Yeah, if Shouix has the Vile Feast, then he's fine. I think he wins this turn if there is a missed call coming out. The concern, and because the Static Shock is going at face instead of targeting 2 units, I do think this Ezreal is too far away from leveling up to have that be an avenue for victory. So
Yeah.
it really just comes down to whether or not Shouix has... Well, he'd have to have Vile Feast and Mist Call.
Yeah, it's just so weird too. This Ezreal is so far from leveling up, and we're so far into the game that he has to win like this. And I have a feeling. Have we even seen a single Vile Feast come out yet?
I want to say... Well, I want to say no, but I don't know where else this spider would have come from.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, so he must have played one a really long time ago. That spider, wow, that spider's been chilling for a while.
Okay, never mind. There's 2 shrooms off the top from
Ooh.
Shouix. That's going to actually put the nail in the coffin.
Jesus. See, that's what I was saying. Those 2 shrooms sitting in Sudrakon's hand right now, if he had played those like 3 turns ago, that would have been even more damage just from shrooms.
Never mind. The Ezreal did level up. What were we doing here?
All right, listen, we need... All right, here. This is... If Riot's watching right now, all right? If there's one thing we need, it's an Ezreal tracker, okay? Which is really just a champion level up tracker. But if you could work that into any sort of spectator mode, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, okay, so in Hearthstone, you know, you spectate and you're just watching a game. In Duels of Runeterra, I need access to the eye. I need access to the game history so I can see what's been tossed and what's in the graveyard and things like that. I need to be able to hover this Ezreal and tell how far along it is. I need to know where this Fiora sits, how many ephemeral units have attacked for Hecarim.
Oh, yeah, and Mingles is right. Shouix has been incredibly unlucky with shroom draws, considering there were only 10 in the deck. He drew like 7. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if it's this tournament. I don't know if something's going around here, but I have seen a lot of very unlucky and not really statistically likely shroom draws on this tournament. And I go back to Topher. So Topher again, losing to the 3 shrooms, 10 shrooms in his deck, 14 cards in his deck, draws 3 off the top. So it's very unlikely.
It was a shadow buff on Teemo. I know that if you've ever played League of Legends, there were a lot of jokes about Riot, like slightly increasing Blitzcrank's hook range every patch until somebody notices. I think for Legends of Runeterra, it's like, you know, slightly increasing your chance to draw a shroom every patch until someone notices.
That would be so troll. I would be in full support of that if that happens. Just saying. So oh wow. So now we have the this Sejuani plunder deck. And again,
plunder.
Pilfered. He's got 2 pilfered goods, 3 black market merchant.
Oh no, okay. Sudrakon is running the pilfer.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shouix's running the same deck but without the pilfer.
Yes, yeah. Shouix does not have the pilfer, and I think that's what did Shouix win the first game with that, right?
Yes,
Yes.
barely.
Barely eked that out. Yeah, I was a little worried about that one. And actually, I think so. I casted Sudrakon yesterday. And I think it was like one of the first rounds. I think it was the first round, actually. He's got 3 Monkey Idol in here. Very quietly.
I was looking at that, and I'm not sold on Monkey Idol.
but it has 5 health now, man. Now it spawns 3 tokens.
I mean, that is a big buff, and it is, you know, this is actually going to give you a very consistent Sejuani level, which is something that I've actually seen these decks struggle with in the past, but I don't know that the Sejuani level was necessarily a win condition that they wanted to play towards. Looks like that is something that Sudrakon identified as a stronger point of the deck through his testing, so I guess that's kind of where the Monkey Idol comes out, because it still doesn't turn on plunder on your opponent's turn if they don't attack, because the monkey dies at the very end of the turn, so you don't actually have an opportunity to take advantage of its ability. And okay, what's the name of the challenger, Poro?
Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. You're putting me on the spot. I can't do this. Affectionate. Affectionate, Poro?
That looks accurate. Just
All right,
seeing
now-
the picture for it.
Yeah, I'm literally just going off of the picture of the Poro now. I'm like, that Poro's displaying affection. We're gonna go with affectionate. Hopefully that's right.
What is with? Did Island Navigator also get like stealth changed to only summon Poros or something?
I don't know, man, but summoning a 1/1 challenger with Scout doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, and you were right. It is affectionate Poro.
Hey, I know my Poros. What can I say? I don't know my Spectral Matrons, but I know my Poros. Priorities, man. Hashtag priorities.
I don't know my janky Shadow Isle combos, but I'll be damned if I don't know the name of every Poro in this game.
And I just want to throw out there, I am still convinced that I had it. Monkey Idol and Dawn Speakers is secretly an OP deck archetype that is going to take over the meta soon. Mark my words. It's going to happen. Demacia Bilgewater, man. And we actually see the second Monkey Idol already coming out. And Sudrakon shaking his head. He didn't seem too happy about having to play that Monkey Idol because it's really not going to do anything right now against this aggression from Shouix. And I don't know, honestly. I mean, Shouix, if he was drawing bad last game, he's drawing incredible this game. And this amount of aggression is going to be really hard to stave off by Sudrakon if he keeps it up.
Yeah, I think people have kind of forgotten just how powerful the Fearsome decks were in the past. The only hit that actually came out onto him was both on Hecarim and the Wraithcaller losing Fearsome. And while Wraithcaller losing Fearsome was massive, you do still get them thrown into these other decks like this Tiana Crownguard Callisto. We've seen this package come out of Endure Spiders, and it's still just a very powerful on-curve package. And we're going to see Sudrakon at least get one kill with this this Make It Rain, though I'm a little surprised that we didn't see the Pilfered Goods come out instead, since the Monkey Idol did trigger Plunder for the turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to be said about getting that Plunder pretty consistently like that. I mean, personally, I kind of agree with you that I'm not sold on it simply because you do have the Yordo Grifters in here, so you're already plundering and 2 warning shots and 2 shell him and Sudrakon and his 2 shell shockers and his shell shockers every deck that he builds this, like, if you guys have been following Sudrakon, like he won JamFest last weekend with a very similar deck. If you guys have been following the evolution of this deck over the last like 4 tournaments, Shell Shocker I think has been in like the last 3 iterations of it, and I don't understand what everybody sees in this card. I actually saw it in a few other decks as well.
So I think I understand it a little bit. So you look at Dreg Dredgers, that's a 2/1 that does something. Shell Shocker is a 2/1 that does do something, especially because like the thing that I don't totally understand about it in this deck is you don't play that many spells. It's just Make It Rain, Pilfered Goods, and Fury of the North. Like, sure, the idea is that you're going to be playing on curve, so banking spell mana is difficult for you. And I think people are just valuing, 2 attack 1-drops that do something. But I'm not sure that you really need 5 1-drops in your deck.
So one of the lines that was explained to me with this Shell Shocker is because you're getting 1 mana back, and I don't think it's worth playing the Shell Shocker, but if you play Shell Shocker on turn 1, you get the 1 mana back. Then on turn 2, you're actually able to play a Make It Rain and Jagged Butcher on the same turn, so you clear whatever your opponent played and get a 3/3 and a 2/1 to push through damage. So, I mean, it's a high tempo play, and it's a high reward, but like, is it really worth playing 2 Shell Shockers in your deck just to potentially get that early game tempo combo off? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like that's so. My problem is that you could push through just as much damage by going like Fleet Feather Tracker into Brightsteel Protector, and then your opponent not wanting to play anything because you have a barriered up Challenger, and this just feels like a much weaker version of that play. My problem is that like generally, if I can, I will cut every 1-drop from my deck. Dreg Dredgers is a bit of an exception because that is a card that actually, like, what I love out of my 1-drops and Dreg Dredgers especially is it feels useful at every stage of the game. Tossing is always something that I want to do. Shell Shocker, that's a terrible top deck. I never want that. I never want to bank 1 spell. I'd rather just not play the card.
So what you're saying is you don't play burn aggro much.
That is a very accurate estimate.
Oh, man. So we see a pretty huge board by Shouix, and this has just been going on all game. I mean, and this is what I was mentioning the other turn. If Shouix's able to keep up this aggression, Sudrakon's going to have a problem staving it off, and this is exactly what's happening. And by playing the Black Market Merchant version and the card advantage version of getting the Pilfered Goods and whatnot off, I mean, sure, he's going to get a bunch of cards in his hand, but like he doesn't have enough mana in the world to be able to get these cards and play them all in one turn and still not take damage.
Yeah, I think he's actually God, the Riptide Rex feels so bad here because there's an ephemeral 4/4 on your opponent's board, but I do think you're very close to dead if you don't get to throw this out because the Spectral Matron Fearsome is actually coming in big here. Luckily, it does completely miss the ephemeral Rekindler.
Wow, that is huge. It actually, I'm trying to see where all the lines go. Oh, God. Oh, that is nasty.
Oh,
Jesus. Man. What is going on?
Nothing is going to die, and I'm pretty sure we're close to lethal for Shouix.
I think that's why he did the Vile Feast. I think that's just lethal. Is it? That is terrible. Yeah, because he has 1, 2, 3, 4 fearsome units, and he only has 3 fearsome blockers.
So at least 1 fearsome unit gets through. But so yeah, I think 4. Any 2 attackers are lethal. And yeah the blocker's just not lining up. That's going to be the Ranger's Resolve coming out massive. And Riptide Rex has just been relatively unimpressive throughout the day.
Oh, wow. So this is, yeah, sad face for sure, Matus. Oh my God, man. That right there shows exactly why I'm such a proponent for Ranger's Resolve being changed a little bit. Because why does a 1 mana burst spell, why does that exist? Can somebody please explain to me why that 1 mana burst spell just completely shut down an 8 mana 2-card combo? Like, that just happened.
Yeah, Riptide Rex does not play well into tough units, and I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen the deck have a whole lot of success today. Nautilus being this massively health tough unit really stonewalls out that card, and the Ranger's Resolve there on a wide board just absolutely phenomenal, picking up the win there for Shouix.
All right, we got a lot going on in chat that I want to address. So Lobster looks like good on you, chat, for getting there before we got there. Fresh Lobster 9-0. That's what we like to see. So our dude with the stash, the best stash in the land, getting that 9-0 record. We got a lot of answers as to why Ranger's Resolve is only 1 mana. because new cards. Because basically because why not make new overpowered cards so everybody wants to play them, right? So let's check the overall standings. What we got here?
Looks like we still have quite a few games going on as well.
Yeah, I want to try to get into something else here. So let's see. Can Lobster complete the perfect Duels of Runeterra? I wonder has there anybody that's ever been undefeated entirely that's won?
I don't know off the top of my head. I do know that it is a very rare thing to happen in any card game. It is much more likely that you are going to 9-0 Swiss and then lose in top 16 than you are going to actually XO an event. I think that happens infinitely more often.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. Not gonna lie.
It always feels so bad.
Do you see anybody else who's playing right now?
I'm checking in on Nola Gold.
Good old Nola.
Let me just see if this is his.
Oh man, if we do Nola, I'm not gonna troll this time, and I'm gonna remove the logo because Nola decides he wants to be the only person that streams with his camera in the top right of the screen. I need to move it, so we're gonna move it.
I'm actually not seeing Nola Gold in the bracket anywhere.
Yeah, he's playing Neon Blue right now. I don't know if that's
am I crazy?
Who he's supposed to be playing. I don't know. He might have if he lost. That means he would have been X and 3, and there's a good shot he would have been out of the tournament because I think he had 2 losses.
He would still show up on the round 9 pairings, right? Unless he dropped it 6 and 2. I have to just not be seeing him, right? Is Smash GG hiding this from me?
Oh, Glop is playing, and we do know that. And Glop is a thing, and he is streaming, I think.
Yes.
If I can find Glop. Glop coming up next. Where are you at, Glop? Where are you at?
I don't remember his Twitch handle exactly, so I just had to scroll through everybody streaming.
No, I'm pretty sure it had Glop in it, but he might have stopped streaming actually.
I think it was Glop NA.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know if there was an underscore.
Glop. All right. I think Glop's done for. Topher and Presto are playing.
Okay, yeah, we can hop into that.
Presto teach. Oh, never mind. He has the standings up, it looks like. So that's going to be a big no-go.
All right, so that's probably done as well.
So we might actually be getting into just Everybody, and Topher's stream is offline, so I imagine he lost to Presto. And...
That seems reasonable.
Oh no, Nola Gold beat Roomba Whack. So he's just playing somebody else right now for the fun of it.
Gotcha.
So it looks like he's probably gonna make top cut.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't.
Cephalopod.
Now I see him.
Cephalopod's playing.
It looks like Lobster, Topher, and Glop are like the only unreported games. Is Cephalopod streaming it? I know he doesn't usually stream until Top Cut.
Yeah, and I think that is accurate because he is nowhere to be found. Damn. Yeah, so, all right, well, while we're waiting here, it's up to you. Do you want to take a quick break here before we get into the top 16, that sweet, sweet 16?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable, especially since I think there is usually like a 15 to 20-minute break before the last round and top 16, just to give the players time to check the standings, make sure that everything was reported correctly, and kind of, you know, stand up and stretch and stuff like that, grab some food. They have been here for quite a few rounds, so yeah, taking a break sounds okay with me.
Sweet. So we're going to do just that, everybody. So we'll be back here. I imagine the round's supposed to start at 8, right? So
yeah,
we'll be back right around 8:05. And yeah, we'll see you then. All right, guys, that is it for round 9. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Cannot wait to cast some more tournaments and bring you guys some more competitive Legends of Runeterra action. So, as always, everybody stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you. Peace out.